I want to celebrate you. I want to congratulate you because, as Nick will tell you, Nick's been a client of ours, been working with us, student of ours. He's out in Pittsburgh. He's got if your kids need orthodontist teeth braces, Nick's your man. Nick's, what would you say for someone like you who's done Tony Robbins stuff, who's been around the traps, you've run a orthodontic practice, you're a doctor, you got tons of staff, and you're here so humble, learning from us. What would you say to someone who's been in business or who's having relationship challenges? Why is this stuff even important? Because you can sit there and run your practice. Well, you've got time for this. Why do you come back?
So I think that for me, it was all about vision. I did do all the courses. I mean, you name it, every single thing out there I've done. But there was one fault, and I was looking at all my circumstances, trying to change them directly. And I feel that, like, through this process, I've been able to focus on reverse engineering and say, okay, my circumstances are not changing, so why? And I never could get to that path. I think with Reg, he kind of helped me reverse engineer it. And the first step was, you have to take different actions in order to get their different circumstances.
Yep.
And I was like, okay. And then the layer before that. So when I first started, it was like, okay, you go and you do the hypnosis and you do this. And then you kind of conquer your actions. Then the next layer of the onion is your belief. So the beliefs influence the actions, which influence your circumstances. And then
correct.
Now, what influences your belief? Well, that's obviously your self-concept and your vision. And I think that this third layer of going into elite has helped me change my vision of who I am, because I was at my core a completely different person when I started. And the first thing we started working on, when Reg said, well, like, who are you? And I've done medical, I've done medicine, dentistry, oral and maxillofacial surgery, trauma, everything. I wound up finishing in orthodontics. And he said, who are you? I said, I'm an orthodontist. He said, no, you're a CEO.
Yes. I remember that day. You're like, okay, no, you're not an orthodontist, right? You're the CEO of your business and you're the CEO of your life.
Yeah. Yeah. And so then once I understood that and changed that core concept, and he goes back with Lifetime and advanced NLP and everything else, you're going back to that etiology, changing it, and then everything else unravels after that. So you'll do timeline therapy and everything else like that. I was doing all the actions, but I didn't have the core element. And then once I had the core element, then everything else could fall into place. So it was, it was more timeline therapy of NMA for me. So, I had to go through all the other stuff. And, so I would strongly suggest, like, if you're going to come in, just go to the highest level of it and get one-on-one with him so that you can start on the etiology of this process and just straighten it all out from there.